Well, welcome to a another captivating characters conversation. I'm very honored and happy to have with us today Karl Saxell. Karl Saxell is a Swedish singer-songwriter who I, by chance, happened upon on Facebook. It turned out that I'm a member of one of the Tom Waits fan clubs on Facebook, and I saw that Karl, who I didn't know, had posted a cover of one of my favorite Tom Waits songs, which is called Time. And the thing is that a lot of Tom Waits fans are very particular, and apparently they seem to not like, generally speaking, people's covers. And because they always think, why do it? Tom Waits is better. So I was a bit reticent to play it, but I did, and I was so glad because not only did I think it was great and I love it, my wife, who's really particular and will determine within seconds whether or not she's going to listen to a song, just stood there listening, kind of stunned, and at the end gave Karl, I think, one of the best compliments he could expect from that. She said she thought it was better than the Tom Waits version. So don't tell Tom Waits that. So I'm really happy to have Karl on. We've been having some back and forth on Facebook, Messenger, a few chats, and as is the title of this podcast, Conversations with Captivating Characters, he's not just a singer-songwriter who's excellent and still, to my disbelief, isn't famous yet, but hopefully we can change that, that he is quite captivating, interesting character in himself. And we're going to spend perhaps the next hour discussing art and books and music and his background, and have three different tracks to share with you so you can determine for yourself, what you think of his music. And I will be posting in the description below links to some of his channels where you can go and hear more of his music if you like it. So Karl, welcome. Thanks for coming and talking with us today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Just for starters, why not we can talk about music and excuse me, maybe your journey from when you started to decide that you were going to start playing music, because you not only sing, I know you play the guitar. So maybe you can tell us about that and how you got to singing and how you got to writing, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, well, I was a kid and I was annoyed with myself that I couldn't play guitar or sing. So I just I started I got a guitar from my parents when I was, I think, 6 or 7. I started playing until I could do it. But I didn't like the books, the chord books and stuff. So I just made up my own way of playing, and it didn't sound good, but it got better and better. Same with the singing. I don't know how to sing, but I just do it. So that's kind of how it started.
If I remember, during one of our conversations, you were telling me about how you taught yourself guitar, and very strange way. Maybe you'd share that with us.
Yeah, well, I had it in my lap, like laying down, and I held my fingers like this until I could just flip it over and play like the evolution of man in a way. So finally, the guitar was upright, and I could learn in a different way.
Okay, so you're completely self-taught. You don't read music, is that right?
Yeah. I don't know how.
So you don't write down your pieces in terms of the chords and the notes and so on.
It's all no. Sometimes I write like numbers, and sometimes I write letters, and sometimes I write colors. Like I know that the C major 7 is a light blue color, and like a D6 is an orange kind of color in my head. Because I don't, it's the technical stuff. It's too much for me. I don't want to do it that way either.
So it's kind of based on feeling and intuition.
Yeah. I think everything I do is based on intuition, I guess.
Probably the best way. Now, what you said is, I think, really interesting. You talked about a chord will. So the chord is something you hear, but it also brings to your mind a specific color.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I learned it through neuro-linguistic programming. There's a thing called synesthesia. It's where you get that situation. So where different senses mix that normally for most people don't. So for example, a person could smell a certain cologne and it causes them to maybe see a color at the same time. It, evokes that. Or they might hear a certain sound, and as with you, a color, or it might bring to them a certain feeling, and it could be 2 or 3 or 4 different senses, kind of all bleeding together, which is pretty cool. I don't have that. Well, actually, I do with one thing, but we won't go into that.
Okay.
So that's cool. So you have synesthesia, which probably helps you. You do it intuitively and with feeling more than any technicality. You don't read music. So you kind of forged your own unique way, which is one of the reasons I like your music so much and your voice. Tell us about your voice. It's as you speak now, it's quite deep and kind of gravelly in a smooth way, if that makes sense. So now I know, and you know, once upon a time when Tom Waits started out, if anybody listens to his, they're called the early volumes 1 and 2, and he's got a really nice, smooth, clear voice. And it was whiskey and too many cigarettes that completely, some people say, destroyed his voice, but gave him that gravelly, some people call him the Cookie Monster. But he used it to his advantage. How did you, when your voice broke, is this how it was, or have you kind of grown into this over time?
No, it's kind of been the same since I was, I think, 11. I just happened, I guess. Puberty.
That must have been strange.
Yeah.
An 11-year-old speaking with such a voice. Did people remark on it, or did they think you were older than you were?
Yeah, I had a beard also, so I could buy cigarettes when I was 11.
That's amazing.
So I did. It was good.
Wow. Probably didn't hurt with the women, did it?
I don't know, really. Maybe. No one said anything. They keep quiet.
I think a lot of women do like, I mean, I know Lori does. She loves it. If I used to put on the Christian Bale Batman voice. I'm the Batman. She kind of goes weak at the knees with that.
And the mask?
No, we didn't go that far.
Okay, next time.
Yeah, actually, that's a good thing. Get the whole suit.
Yeah.
Okay, so your voice broke at 11. When did you actually start singing? So you already were teaching yourself the guitar. And then at what point did you go, maybe I should sing covers and or write my own song?
Well, I started trying to sing when I was, I think, 13. And I listened a lot to John Mayer. I was like, oh, why can't I hit those notes? And I got really annoyed because I can I can't hit the high notes that other people sing, but I can hit my own high notes. But they are like in other people's lower register. But it sounds like it's a high singing.
Okay.
So then I had to change my guitar playing. Also, I had to tune down the guitar and play the other different chords and stuff to match it to my own voice. And then I just said, "Oh, fuck it, I just write my own music." So I did that instead.
And you've been writing songs since. I believe you have quite a catalog. How many songs have you written now?
Yeah, it must be like 1,000, I think.
Well, later on in the show, we're going to play one of your originals. But right now, I think it's time to play the song that hooked me and my wife, your cover of Tom Waits' Time.
Yeah.
Well, the smart money's on Harlow, and the moon is in the street, and the shadow boys are breaking all the laws. And you're east to East St. Louis, and the wind is making speeches, and the rain sounds like a round of applause. Napoleon is weeping in the carnival saloon. His invisible fiance's in the mirror. And the band is going home. It's raining hammers, it's raining nails. And it's true there's nothing left for him down here. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that you love. And it's time, time, time. They all pretend they're orphans, and their memories like a train. You can see it getting smaller as it pulls away. And the things you can remember tell the things you can forget. The history puts a saint in every dream. Well, she said she'd stick around till the bandages can morph. But these mama's boys, you don't know how to quit. And Matilda asked the sailors, are those dreams or are those prayers? So close your eyes, son, this won't hurt a bit. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that you love. And it's time, time, time. Well, things are pretty lousy for a calendar girl. The boys just dive right off the chorus and into the street. And when they're on a roll, she pulls a razor from her boot. 1,000 pigeons fall around her feet. So put a candle in the window and a kiss upon his lips, as the dish outside the window fills with rain. And just like a stranger with the weeds in your heart, and pay the fiddler off till I come back again. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that you love. And it's time, time, time.
Well, there you have it. That was Time by Karl Saxell, his own cover of a very famous Tom Waits song. Love to know what you think in the comments below. Have you done a lot of covers of Tom Waits or a lot of covers of different people's music?
Yeah, I did a lot of covers of a lot of people. I think I did maybe 7 or 8 Tom Waits covers, and I just the thing is that when I hear a song that I like, I'm so annoyed that I didn't write it. So I have to try it out myself and change it and stuff. So and it kind of inspires me to write my own stuff also. hear a good song and try out a good song that someone else did.
Yeah. Well, I need to mention to the audience that I was well, I wasn't amazed, but it was kind of surprising that I think everybody on the Tom Waits page who listened to Time and have listened to your other covers of Tom Waits have nothing but great things to say. They're very encouraging to you. They ask for more. So, you know, I don't think you could get better than that. Of course, you don't want to be known as the Tom Waits cover guy because you're your own man and you have lots of songs. So later in the show, we're going to play one of your originals. So we look forward to that. And, you know, with your voice, and I think anybody listening to this would agree, one has to ask the question, is there some reason why, at least there in Sweden, you're not a really big time DJ, maybe with a late night show where you play maybe some of your own music and some of the music that you really like? Why do you think, have you tried to be a DJ, or do you think that might be something in your future?
Yeah, it's possible. I did radio commercial stuff a few years ago. Then I've been had some things to do, so I've been busy. I haven't really done anything. So I used the internet to share my music, but I didn't go any further than that.
Well, as you know, because you've seen some of it, I write some poetry, some slam poetry. I mess around with it. I put it to pictures and background music. I never tried to publish it. I just put it online, really for my own satisfaction. If people like it, great. But I don't go out of my way to promote it. So I don't want to make any assumptions about what you want. But is it the case that you just want to keep doing what you're doing and keep low profile? Or is it time now, time for you to get out there and get recognition? Would you like to maybe cut a record deal in the future and make your music your full-time career?
Yeah, I think it's going to happen soon. I have a feeling.
Well, your intuition and feeling seems to be good. So if I remember right, you said you were beginning to put yourself out there. You've been in contact with maybe a radio station, or you've sent some samples to record companies. Is that right?
Yeah, I do that like once every 10 years.
Okay, so you come back around, you're ready to go, and you're willing to get busy promoting yourself and doing what's necessary to get yourself out there and heard.
Yeah, but I shouldn't say that I've really fought for it, but I think it's time now to do it.
Yeah, it is time.
Yeah, it is time.
Yeah, look, again, I don't want to sound like I'm blowing smoke up your ass, as they say. But why? I mean, I think anybody can see it. You have the look, you have the presence, and as people will see after they hear the 3 songs on our podcast today, and maybe go and discover more through the links, that you have, you know, tons of talent. That there should be no reason why you can't become very popular, not in the pop sense necessarily, but, you know, serious artist who's taken seriously and, you know, maybe has gigs and travels around. Would that be something you'd be interested in, traveling maybe to different countries and doing gigs?
Yeah, I like to travel. I like to go away from anywhere I am. It doesn't matter where it is. See things and hear things and stuff. But yeah, I think we can decide now that it's just gonna happen.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Have you heard of an artist called John Martin?
Yeah, he did a great song called
May You Never.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say it.
The first one he's famous for, but man, has he got so many tracks. And I bring him up only to say that he was never that commercial. You know, a few tracks became big through the radio. May You Never may have been in the top 10 at some point. He may have been on Top of the Pops once, maybe twice, but he wasn't. What he did was, over the years, he sort of developed, I don't want to say cult following. He just developed a following of very loyal fans who just loved his music and so on. And I was fortunate to see him in Vicar Street here in Dublin, not too long before he died. At this stage, he only had one leg. He was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was a real carouser and smoker and drinker and probably lots of drugs. But my God, the music is fantastic. And I think maybe commercial and pop and all that wouldn't be the avenue for you. But I do think with the power of the internet and people sharing, and perhaps some radio play, you could start to develop a big audience and probably move around. So, you know, I'm going to do what I can to help you. Not that I have a huge audience at the moment, but I intend to keep doing my different podcasts, whether it ever takes off or not, just for the hell of it, just for something to do, because I like to do it.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can maybe shift into that we have a strange affinity, in the sense that we got to find out. I was telling you that I, like you, I have an eclectic taste in music, which a lot of the credit goes to my father, who also did. And he, when I was probably 8, he introduced me to the Dr. Demento show, which was a big show in America. People will probably, if they watch the new Weird Al biopic or biopic, they'll see who Dr. Demento is. And he dedicated his show to weird and wonderful and strange and funny records that you probably wouldn't hear on other radio stations. That's where Weird Al Yankovic got his break. Anyway, so I discovered that you, when I was talking about that to you, you seem to know a lot of these strange artists that really nobody else would know. One of the ones was Wild Man Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably know about him more than me. I only know this song, Larry. Well, it's not even a song. I don't know what it is.
No, it's something. It's just
saying his name is Larry.
Expressing something.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. My name is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a hit.
Yeah. And so how is it, do you think, I mean, that you have such where did you come across stuff like that in Sweden, all places?
Well, I've always looked for music in places where you shouldn't find it, maybe. So I got bored with the radio when I was a child, and but we didn't have internet and stuff when I was a kid. But my father had a lot of records, and my mother, she always listened to music that is good, no matter what kind of music it is. So I can learn from that, I guess, to just like anything I like. And then I heard Umbasa the Dragon by the is it the Turtles or the Monkeys? I can't remember. It's one of the bands, but it's just a crazy song.
I must check that out. Let me.
Yeah, you have to do, because they do like straight music, but then they just made one crazy song, and I can say, oh, I like this, because it's not kind of music, it's not art, it's just something in between.
Yeah, yeah,
and I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I love when a pretty straight band does at least one weird thing. You probably know the Monkeys. I'm gonna buy me a dog. That's one of the weird ones. And I was just playing Neil Young, Piece of Crap. Have you ever heard that? It's great.
No, I haven't, but I have all these records though. Can't remember which one it's on.
Well, I think we probably talked a bit enough now about the eclectic stuff. I think it's time, and probably most people are waiting for another track from you. And this time you're going to share with us one of your original compositions, a song called Why, or W-Y, which maybe you can explain why it's called that, and maybe what inspired you, your writing process, and then we'll play it.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I usually, when I write songs, I usually make up the title first. But this time I didn't do that because I every spring I write a poem about spring, and I started writing one, and I said, oh, this could be a song instead. And then I was like, oh, I want to call it this, I want to call it that, but I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to call it something. So I took two letters and put them together, so it's W-Y. I don't know what it means.
So people can project onto whatever meaning they want.
They can do whatever they want. I don't care.
So when did you write this?
Before. I can't remember. It was maybe 2 years ago, 3.
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
Excellent. So we're going to play now for you Karl Saxell's own song called W-Y.
Chestnuts stay in flower to the echo of the birds. Some stars come out in evening gowns, and the wind just spelled a word. I'm enjoying this alone, but nothing like the nights I spend with you. I had it many years ago, never fell but landed. She only saw me with her eyesight, only touched her with my hand, and I shouldn't be comparing, but it's nothing like the love I have with you. So I'm singing you home with a song that you know, and you answer by adding some flavor, and we screech to the week to a comfortable beat. Know that you're all that I need. 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 While I'm dressing up in dirt, come here dressed in gold. You're holding my attention amongst the other things you stole. So pardon me for staring, but no one looks as beautiful as you. You never have to make me, and I know I'm fine alone, but when I'm going where you take me, anywhere just feels like home. Well, I shouldn't be comparing, but you're not like anyone I've ever known. It's the stone that has been taken or shaken from a show. Don't know how I got feelings, but I'm giving them to you. It used to give me comfort, but it's nothing like the love I have with you. So I'm singing you home with a song that you know, and you answer by adding some flavor, and we screech to the wind to a comfortable beat, and you know that you're all that I need. You're all that I need. You're all that I need. You're all that
Well, welcome back. I'm sure you guys enjoy that as much as I did. In fact, it struck me the difference between his voice in the first song, Time, which was much lower register, and this is higher, a lot more poppy, kind of a pop song you'd hear on the radio. And I mean that in the best sense. It's catchy, it's upbeat, makes you feel good. So, you know, big change from Time. Um, so maybe you can share with us a bit of your writing process, how you go about. So you said you started with the um, title. So if you have WY as the title, which you said doesn't really mean anything, how did you go from there?
Well, at this time, I didn't start with the title. I start with the verses and stuff, and then I just put the title in at the end. Um, but usually it's just I just I have like a word in my head or a line in my head that I write down, and then I just go over it all day until I just sit down and write the whole song. And
So, yeah, go
I've
ahead. Go ahead.
always yeah I've always been into like street magic. I like David Blaine and you know or any kind of magic, and I want to write uh, in the way that they do magic. Like, oh, how did he do that? How could he put that word in there, or how could he turn that around?
Yeah,
I want it to be like magic.
something surprising and mysterious. Um,
Yeah.
so it sounds like I'm sort of resonating with what you're saying there. I find I don't write songs per se. I write poems, maybe slam poetry, and I find it's either a word or maybe a line, and I write it down, and then if this makes sense, but I think it's kind of what you were saying. It leads me. I'm not trying. I don't have the whole thing, and then I try and write it down. It's just sort of the words lead me on down this path till it's written. And sometimes, like you, I don't even know what it's about or what it is. And there it
Mm.
is. And then maybe first draft, you've got it. Or maybe you go back, polish it up a bit, and maybe you even start to realize what it is. Because I think a lot of it comes from your unconscious mind. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's where we all work from. Um, but you can also like a standard pop song use a structure.
Yeah.
But it's the content. It's what's within the structure that is important.
Yeah.
It's how you present it and what you write and stuff.
So, do you know this idea of the muse, a poet or a
Mm.
writer or a songwriter being, or anybody who's creative being struck by the muse or being abandoned by the muse, and you know they have writer's block and the creativity doesn't come. Do you
Mm.
feel that that some of your stuff is very much the muse and maybe some of it isn't and it's more forced?
Yeah, somewhat. Well, I like to have like a deadline. Okay, I have to finish this today, or in an hour, or in 10 minutes. I like to work under pressure. But yeah, I use sometimes I write about people and things, but mostly I create a character, and that character creates the the music or the lyrics. Well, the music I have to make myself, but the character kind of creates the lyrics.
Well, I think
So
what,
he or she decides.
yeah, I think Tom Waits does that a lot. Tom Waits, as you know, and people who know him, a lot of
Mm,
his songs are very character driven and
mm,
often from the viewpoint of that character. So I think,
um,
like you, he gets it. He dreams up some character. It could be based on an amalgamation of people, or maybe somebody he saw on the street. And then from that point of view, the song comes. And it sounds to me like you have a similar way of doing it. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's some sort of like spiritual writing, I guess. Also, like not thinking at
Yeah.
all. I
Yeah.
don't like to think. I
I
do
gotta
that too
say,
much.
some of this stuff, and I don't make any claims about whether my stuff is any good or not. I think you write what you write, and you're satisfied, or if you are, then it's done. And then it's like a little child. You got to let it go out into the world, and whatever happens and whatever people say, that's fine. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
I think
bunch of shitty kids out there.
yeah, I think a lot of the best stuff does come unconsciously. One of my best, as far as I'm concerned, one of my best pieces called "Enlightened Minds Know No Hell," which is a piece that I wrote. It seems totally unconscious, and I wrote it in one sitting. It just came out of me, sort of like some people say, they're a channel or a conduit, and the thing already exists, and it just somehow they tapped in, and it flowed through them, and they don't even recognize, like, what is this? I don't even know what I'm talking about. And I
Yeah, I
put it
like that.
yeah,
Keep doing
and
it.
I think that's what you're saying. Some of your best stuff is probably like that. But to get a more, for the audience to get a more overall rounded out idea of who you are, um, you're not just a singer-songwriter guy. You probably have other interests and talents and hobbies. Maybe you
Mhm.
share some of those with us.
Yeah. Well, I like tarot cards, anything that is connected to the occult. I like dancing. I like not cooking. Uh, I
The good one.
like yeah, animals. Hanging out with my kids. Painting really bad paintings. I like doing that and throwing them away. Um,
When you say,
um,
I'm curious, when you say not cooking, you don't like to cook. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Okay.
I don't like it.
Do you eat a lot of takeaways, deliveries, go out to
No,
restaurants?
no, no, I never do that. I eat like I eat uh, vegetables and some like uh, pea proteins and eggs and turkey. That's kind of what I eat.
Yeah.
And decaf coffee to get me up in the morning.
So I believe you also you like certain authors and read a lot of books. Who's your favorite
Mhm.
author?
My favorite author is
Top.
I think Evelyn Waugh. I like
Yeah,
Evelyn Waugh. He wrote Brideshead Revisited. I've only read that book by him, but it's my favorite book, so he's my favorite author.
yeah. I know of that only through. Oh, I must have been a teenager, and my mother was watching it on TV, the TV series called
Hmm.
based on the book. I don't
With
know.
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's so good.
Was it true to the book, do you think?
Yeah, it's like a photography of the book. It's crazy. It's yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfection.
And so, what about poetry? I mean, I would think you're a man who likes and reads some poetry.
Yeah, I do. I really like Sylvia Plath
Oh, yeah.
and Wisława Szymborska, the Polish writer. She's amazing. And Allen Ginsberg, it's great. Leonard Cohen's poems are good
Yeah.
also. Some are
Well,
bad, but some are amazing.
and most of his songs are like poems, a bit like Waits again. Um,
Yeah,
of course, I'm going to assume you know of and probably like Bukowski, Charles Bukowski.
I have a book by him. I've only uh, like looked through it, but I didn't find anything that I really liked. But I do like the one that Tom Waits read. The
Yeah.
Is it the Bleeding Heart? Is it
Bleeding
that?
Heart. Yeah, he also did
Yeah.
Nirvana, which is excellent.
Mm.
I don't know if you probably didn't get a chance. We talked about Bukowski, and I don't have any of his books, but I listened to a guy with a great voice reading his poetry on
Mm.
YouTube. And my favorite, the one that really hit me in the gut, visceral, provoked me, made me feel something was the genius of the crowd. And if you get a chance to listen to that, it's
The genius of the crowd.
yeah. If somebody said to me, "What's your favorite poem?" I'd probably say that off the top of my head. It's just one of the thing about Bukowski is he's so raw. You know, he's so real and gritty and ugly, which had a lot to do with his life, the way he
Mm,
lived. But another one is I think it's called "Just Do It." And if you want to be motivated, wow, what a poem.
mm,
And also, it's been said, you know how a lot of people use similes and stuff, where they say her eyes were like, you know, burning coals, this
mm,
like thing. Well, he hardly does that. He does it sometimes, but minimal. He just says what it is. You know,
mm,
her
mm.
eyes are, you know, red or whatever.
Yeah, they could
Um,
be read.
yeah. So, what else we got? So you don't like to cook. Interesting. And what about friends and family in your social life? Are you a social creature or a bit recluse, private?
I think I'm kind of an ambivert, I guess. I need to have people around me, and I also need to be alone
Yeah,
to recharge both of the facets, I guess.
yeah. I think it could be the case. Now only guessing here. It could be the case that anybody watching this might think you're shy, but I'm going to bet you're not shy.
No,
No,
I'm
but
not.
you're sort of reserved and quiet. I mean, you wouldn't
Mm.
necessarily be the big loudmouth at the party, right?
I could be,
It could be.
but yeah, I think it's the technology because I have a very hard time connecting with people through screen.
Yeah,
So when I'm in person, I'm completely different. I'm like very outgoing and out there.
right. Well, a many-faceted man.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I mentioned this to you, and I bring it up again because I really would like to say if there's any way that I can help in my tiny way to help you gain an audience, a bigger audience, and maybe find the fame and fortune that I think you so rightly deserve because there's just so much garbage out there today. The same, it's like they just manufacture the same kind of stuff. The lyrics are, for the most part, I mean, I know there's exceptions and I know there are good stuff out there, but I'm talking about kind of the commercial radio and what you hear on that. I can't listen to the radio, partly because of the music and partly because of the commercials. The advertisements absolutely drive me bananas. But years ago, after I think it was after Tom Waits came here and he played in the Olympia, which I was so annoyed I missed. It was one of his greatest shows. A nice little intimate venue. And they loved it. The crowd went crazy for him because I know this. My brother, my younger brother, was there. Bastard. But I did get to see him in his Glitter and Doom when he came to Ireland. But unfortunately, he was in this huge tent with seats going up and up and up, and I was stuck in a corner. I could hardly see him, but still, I got to see him. Anyway, the point is, there's a huge Tom Waits fan base in Ireland. In fact, they kind of consider him an honorary Irishman, particularly married to Kathleen Brennan, and the fact that I think they love when in his song that everybody knows, "I hope I don't fall in love with you," that he says, "Last call for drinks. I'll have another stout." You know,
Mm.
picture him in an Irish pub, falling in love with Kathleen Brennan or something. Anyway, a couple of Tom Waits tributes bands popped up. One was called Carnival Saloon, and they would play not in big venues, but they'd play in these sort of smaller venues, kind of like pubs that had a dedicated room with a stage, small audience, and they did really well. They were always packed out, and it seems to have died off a bit. I don't, maybe it hasn't. I just am not aware of it. But I think it could be great to see if we could eventually get you over here, um, not to be a Tom Waits tribute guy or anything like that, but maybe mostly your own stuff because it stands on its own, and you're talented, and that's good. And maybe
Mm.
throw in a few Tom Waits for those fans, and maybe some of your other covers, like the one you told me we're going to play out with, which I'm really looking forward to. Your take on a great rock and roll legend who we just lost recently, Jerry Lee Lewis, and his great,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, his big hit, Great Balls of Fire. So I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to that and what you've done with that. Um,
Yeah, me too.
yeah. So also, maybe it's too early to say, but if we can get some traction on this podcast, there's, as we said earlier, the time just flies when you do this, and then you get off and you think, oh, I should have asked this and we should have talked about that. And I think there's so much more to talk about, and there's so many more of your tracks to play. So I hope we can do this again in the near future, um, and maybe play even more tracks, but also, discuss more things. I just, so the audience knows, I will be interviewing, or not interviewing, having conversations like this with people in the future that I can get my hands on, who probably mainly will be artists of one kind or another. I think there's a gap in the market out there for having a podcast that kind of talks about art. And those who are interested, particularly people with eclectic tastes and want to broaden them, to listen to people like you and hear some new material, expand their repertoire in terms of what they like, and also hear some recommendations. So I have some people lined up. But in terms of recommendations and influences and so on, I think I'd like to kind of circle back and ask you, who do you really love and find yourself still listening to after all these years? I'll just start with, my father introduced me to the Beatles when I was, boy, uh, probably 8 or 9. I remember having the double blue album, the vinyl
Mm.
was
Yeah,
blue,
yeah, yeah.
and playing it over and over, and then just getting more and more of their stuff. And that's, God, I hate to say it, that's 50 years ago, and I still love them. Did you hear the new Revolver remix that Giles Martin did? Just was released.
Mm. No, no, I haven't heard it.
It's always great to hear, slightly different versions where they, turn up the drums or do something with the voices. It's really good. You should check it out. So
Mm.
who do you think you've been liking for a long time, still listen to, and would be very happy to recommend?
I do listen a lot to Michael Franks,
Yes, you
and
actually turned me on to him, and
mm,
I think I can appreciate. It's a mainly a sort of, is it, would you say, like kind of cool jazz with a guy singing with a
mm.
kind of very smooth voice?
Yeah, very complicated songs. Like the structure is super
Yeah,
complicated, hard to sing, and the lyrics are great. I
I,
like him a lot.
I, it is tough sometimes when you recommend somebody to something and the person doesn't particularly like it or get it. So I will say,
Mm,
because I like to be honest, um, Frank Sinatra, I don't like particularly listening to him, but I do appreciate that he has a certain voice that really appeals to people. Some people actually argue that he can't sing, and I kind of understand that, but he makes
mm.
it work. I mean, the same thing. You say Tom Waits can't sing, but he makes it work, and
Yeah,
it hits your ear the right way, and it's sort of, you like it or it doesn't. And I
yeah.
really have tried with Michael Franks since you recommended him, and I'm going
Mm,
to try again, but maybe I
mm.
just haven't heard the right songs for me. I find
Yeah.
his voice a little bit, I don't know, bit airy fairy or something. But
Mm,
yeah, the music. Um,
yeah. I like that you don't like it. I don't know why. I just like it.
maybe you like that I'm being honest and telling you. And I
Yeah,
prefer
maybe.
prefer if you would do that, because I have recommended some stuff to you.
Mm,
One thing that I recommended highly and would do so to anybody listening is Blue Nile, who
very
was,
good.
yeah. were, or maybe still are, I'm not sure. They always had like 5, 10 years gaps between their albums. They came out in the early 80s. You knew actually one of their songs, which was probably the only one that was really played a lot on the radio and maybe was their biggest hit. Um, what's it called? Tinseltown in the Rain.
Yes.
You didn't know much more, and you've been listening to their first album called A Walk Across the Rooftops. So you like that, did you? Or
Yeah, I did like it a lot.
and I tell you, when you get to their other albums, there's only like 3 or 4 more. And then Paul Buchanan, the main singer, or the singer, I should say, kind of has been doing a lot of independent stuff on his own, which is fantastic. What a voice that guy has. Sir, just maybe to wrap this up, because we're running out of time again, I just wanted to try to keep this to an hour or a bit under, because people are busy these days. They're always telling you how busy they are, as though you're not. So let's all admit we're all very, very busy. But it's good to take a break and maybe learn some new things and hear some new things. Is there? Yeah, sorry, trying to get my thoughts together. Is there? Or can you share with us what is it you see in store for you in the hopefully near future? You did say to me, I think, that you might be open to seeing if you might get a radio show in Sweden, maybe a late night talk show or show where you're playing music. But again, your voice would be great lying in bed and listening to that timbre you have, sending off to sleep. Is that something you're serious about?
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, something connected to music, I guess. Just anything, or just everything. I'll just do it all. I'll just do everything.
A Renaissance man.
Yes, of course.
And let's just talk a bit about Sweden, because I have to admit I don't know a lot about it. It does sound like a place that's worth visiting for a holiday. It's a beautiful place, I believe, and pretty expensive though. But I said that to you, and you said not really. So just to clarify that for people, I mean, would you say to people, yeah, you should come and visit Sweden? There's a lot to see and do, or?
I think everyone should go everywhere, all the countries.
Where have you been?
I've been, well, I used to travel around everywhere and live at different places, and just buy a ticket and go somewhere, and then buy a new ticket and go somewhere else. So I don't really remember, but I've been places.
Have you been to Ireland?
No, I was gonna go there, but then the travel restrictions came.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, I think I talking too much and I went off. Just back to Ireland, it would be great if we could get you over here to a venue, having promoted you, having sold tickets. And I mean, if we could do that, you'd be willing to come and perform?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
And I'd be very happy, and my wife Orla, to have you come and stay with us and get to know you a bit better. Maybe do some cooking for you where you don't like to cook. I love to cook.
I'll cook for you.
Oh, you do cook? Okay. But
yeah, I do.
I love cooking. I find it therapeutic, which I need a lot of therapy. And ironing my own shirts, I find quite therapeutic. What do you do for kind of relaxing and unwinding and just taking it easy?
I like to meditate, and I listen to tarot card readings online. Just listen to the voices.
Can I ask you, because you said you were kind of into that in the occult. I know a person can be interested in that and not necessarily believe in anything supernatural or whatever, whatever. Are you a believer, or are you just interested in it as a subject?
I do I do believe in spirituality as a concept, and I think that everyone has their own spirituality, whether it's religion or believing in angels or intuition or anything. Anything that is subconscious, I think, that is spiritual, and it's an interest. However, it is to them. So I think it's something we should embrace in a way.
This is, we could have a whole long conversation about this. I got to tell you that I used to be into all that. I was a born again Christian. I checked into the different religions. I thought I knew what spirituality meant, and all that kind of stuff. I'm at a point where I don't even know what it means anymore, because everybody I ask, what is spirituality, has extremely different answers. And so if everybody thinks spirituality is something different to everybody else, then what is it? I'm kind of lost.
Yeah,
and I could be being
I think
stupid.
that's why it's because people use it as a wheelchair when it should be like a crutch. Like they depend on it too much. It should just help you out sometimes. You should just live your life.
Okay. I have one sense that people seem to think maybe, or some people, it has something to do with the soul. And obviously they believe we have a soul. Would you go down that road?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the body is so boring. There has to be something else that makes us cool.
Okay. What animates us? Like why one moment we're alive and moving, the next we're just a sack of meat on the floor.
Yeah, that's nice also though.
Yeah. Well, we are starting to come to the end of our time, and it flew by. And I think that's how I know I had a good time and it went well. It flies by. So again, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us, and extend an invitation to honor us again with your presence for another interview sometime in the future. We get some more tracks lined up, and I think it would be cool to now play us out with your unique and quite changed version of Great Balls of Fire. I'd like to just ask, how did you, why decide to do it the way you did it instead of like a straight cover?
Well, I like the song very much, but I can't do it like he does it. I can't, like, it's too, like, he does it his way, and I don't want to imitate that way. So I just did something else.
Okay, so it's a slower guitar version, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I had.
Okay, so is there anything you want to take a moment to say or promote? Again, you're going to send me the links to the various places where you have your music online. I know you have Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and so on, so we'll get those. Is there anything else you'd like to say or promote before we close out with Great Balls of Fire?
Yeah, go outside, people.
Go outside, but have your earbuds in, listening to Karl Saxell, and we're gonna now.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, listen, thanks a lot, and we're gonna play out with Karl Saxell's version of Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire. Thank you, and bye, everybody. See you next time.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, oh what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Great balls of fire. great balls of fire, great balls of fire. I laughed at love, 'cause I thought it was funny. You came along and moved me, honey. I changed my mind, this love is fine. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire, great balls of fire, great balls of fire. Kiss me, baby, feels good. Hold me, baby, well, I wanna love you like a lover should. You're fine, so kind. I gotta tell this world you're mine, not mine. I chew my nails and twiddle my thumb. I'm real nervous about it, sure is fun. Come on, baby, you drive me crazy. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire, great balls of fire, great balls of fire, great balls of fire, great balls of fire.